The birds sound different in this city. I'm new to their rhythms, can't place them easily. Jarring, precise, I have to listen. I've never been one for birds, nor envisioned ever thinking birds were godly, but the birds sound different in this city.
The brief was to bring together the Faculty of Arts in a way that brought various departments into one place for the first time, which was a really exciting moment for them. And at the same time, create something on a very significant site within the wider campus.
Above all, we wanted it to be a space for the community, for staff and students, for the disciplines to cross-fertilise and for lots of activities to be very visible. Very much a sort of public space as well as something for the faculty.
Cross-departmental collaboration was the key to this project. And that worked really from the outset. The minute we won the competition, we worked through with all the different departments and the faculty at all levels really to make that happen.
It really does enable collaboration within this building to have such an open space and to be able to cross paths, bump into others and kind of share conversations and likeness there.
I bought audiobooks about birds didn't listen. Their names and looks uncharted astronomy. But the birds sound different in this city. They sing from trees in sleet storms, shy, persistent. The birds sound different in this city.
So our approach to the design of the building was a series of clusters. So on this little model here, these are a series of clusters which then merge and link together through a central space. Each of those clusters were flexible space, so they could either be academic workplaces or they could be flexible teaching spaces. And the building needed to take change over a number of years, so one could become the other. So we started really with that as a very strong idea of how that could be organised. We worked around the idea of having some spatial complexity, which is very obvious when you go into the building now. There's an astonishing moment of just seeing the base of the stair that then flows down to meet you, to invite you on up, right through all levels. A space to get to your destination, but at the same time to meet other people, to bump into other people from other departments, for students to engage with tutors in an informal way potentially.
The architects were very clever in the way they responded to our design ideas, that we wanted a kind of communal space, and then the idea of it as a tree with sort of branches off into different departments works very nicely as well. The idea has always been that this should be a public engagement space, so that we're inviting the public into it. We've got paintings from the Mead Art Gallery which are in this building. We've got bespoke artworks like our ceramic artwork, our poem, also by Raymond Antrobus. So we've got a sense in which this is a building that people can come in and see displays, see exhibitions.
We've managed to integrate a series of cellular offices around an academic studio. Now that was a fairly innovative element that we introduced, which overcame the potential for endless corridor spaces. So it's an open plan area for academics, lined with then academic offices, very much on the basis of a reading room, a kind of shared pursuit. So we went through some quite detailed discussions in terms of how the front doors to all of the departments then were centred around that central space, making places for social learning, places to meet your tutor, and that's worked really well. And you can see that as an array of people that then line the space.
Right from the outset, when the building opened, we found that students just naturally flowed into the spaces, used those spaces in very natural ways. There's very much a sense that people are enjoying the spaces, are really making good use of the spaces. At the same time, when I'm in my academic office, for instance, it's a very quiet space, and when I come out of that area, you can hear the kind of buzz of the building.
I think this building is always buzzing. I think you can feel the creativity in the air and the innovation and the excitement still to be in a new space.
Everyone is so excited to have this space and to get in, and I think it almost makes you more eager to do the work and to study because the space is just so nice to be in.
We have lecture theatres on the ground floor, so the wider university can come into that building and use it. There are also rehearsal spaces and studios for theatre and television.
I think the antiquities room on the second floor, which just kind of marks a particular space as well, I think that's fantastic now that Classics and Ancient History have on display all their artefacts, which previously you just wouldn't have seen in the building.
We then have a series of social learning zones, and we managed to develop an idea of a semi-open alcove which could be timetabled, but meanwhile use means that students are now inhabiting that in an incredibly intense way.
The birds have invented a new religion. Settling here was not my mission. But wherever I live honestly. The birds sound different in this city.
The campus at Warwick is very much a landscape-dominated campus. The trees on the site that we were allocated, which was an original car park in fact, we've managed to retain a number of them. And of course what that sets up is a wonderful layering. So it feels very established, but also at the same time you get fantastic views. And the lower floors of course just look into that canopy.
When you can look outside to the beautiful views surrounding the Warwickshire countryside is just on our doorstep. It's through these great big light and airy windows that we've got, and that really gives you the motivation you need sometimes to, have a look out the window and go, right, let's start again, let's get on with some more work, and just it feels like you're already outside. You barely need to step outside to let it in.
The clay that we've used for the facade, I think, is particularly effective in terms of the way it sits on the site, the way the sun moves around it, the way in which it resembles the Warwickshire clays, which was very much an inspiration, and how also the idea that the surface is grooved with a series of marks, almost the marks of the maker was one of our key kind of early ideas. How could this have a almost handmade feel for a building of scale?
Lots of people have said that it looks as completely natural in the landscape as though it's always been there, and that's, I think, fantastic that it feels like it's really landed into the landscape and works within that space as well.
We've taken through the vertical orientation of materiality through from the clay through to timber, so it's translated into timber as a lining, and that's both to create a learning environment character, but at the same time it also manages acoustics.
Approaching the building in the mornings, seeing all the nature around, and then getting to come inside and feel almost like that nature's continuing with the woodwork inside. It's lovely. I think it's quite relaxing and it creates a calming environment that's perfect for getting work done.
Walking these streets, I feel forgiven. The bells of the birds are auguries. They tell me I finally found a way of living. The birds sound different in this city.
I think the building has really changed the culture of how we think about how we work. I think when you're in a particular building for a long period of time, you work in a particular way and things really don't change. But moving into a new building, having new spaces, having new interactions, I think really makes a difference to how people see their work, how they work together, how they work individually as well. And having a space to come and work in that people find really uplifting and having that sense of light. It's a really nice space to come into to work in.
It's really, really nice having our own building as art students, and seeing it for the first time was just incredible. The way that the woodwork on the inside is just made it look like studying inside a tree, which may sound weird, but I really, really like that. It feels so natural, so open, so airy. It's just incredible.
Everybody is envious, aren't they, of our building around campus. I mean, we kind of want to kick them out sometimes. We do want it for ourselves, and it's great to celebrate sort of the arts and the humanities and have something to be proud of, and it's such a spectacle on campus, so we were so excited.
It's a whole combination of different spaces, and it changes constantly as you go up. Even to our surprise, to be honest, some of those views weren't completely anticipated, and so the delight of standing at the top, watching people use the stair and kind of gradually work their way up has been a delight. We'd love to be students here again, to be honest, in this building.